Retro.
Yeah.
Electro. Tech.
Oh yeah.
Hey, turn the lights back on. Wow. Retro electro tech. When real audio ruled the world.
Well, hello there once again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Retro Ernest of Retro Electro Tech. And here we have before us a Pioneer stereo amplifier from the 70s. Not sure of the exact date, but I'll post it up here if I can. And this stereo amplifier is the model SA as in Sam Alpha 5502. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that this is a 15 watt per channel into 8 ohm integrated stereo amplifier. Anyhow, this unit was brought in with a noisy controls complaint. I don't know to what extent yet, which is of course why this unit's on the bench. So I think the customer was referring more to like some crackle, some static in the controls. I don't think, it's to the point where he's losing signal on one or both channels, very intermittent behavior, anything like that. But again, we'll see. Okay, so of course we are looking at the innards, and I will kind of zoom in on a few spots real quick just to give you an idea of how filthy things are. Alright, I'm zoomed into the power transformer where I etched my little happy hippie hieroglyphic peace sign there to show you how much crustiness exists in here. And you can see all kinds of crustiness inside the heat sink area there. And some more of my famous artwork. Yeah, you just add some water, make it like mud, and you got boss hog territory right there. So yeah, we got to get this cleaned up. So let me go ahead and jump into that. Alright, so everything's coming along well. I've been cleaning the worst of the worst as far as all that crustiness, as I've been going along. I still have a little ways to go, but I kind of paused because I just wanted to get, like I said, the worst of it out, so I'm not working in a crust factory. And because I still have to pull out this board and service all of the controls you see here, the tone board, and also to the phono board slash selector switchboard. Here I want to disconnect this this rod, this extension shaft or rod, and should be able to flip that board right out if I remember correctly. And again, look at things a little bit, and also to just make sure that that selector switch gets all cleaned out nice and thorough and whatnot. In the same case with all these controls, they're all going to be done thoroughly as far as that multi-flush cleaning is concerned, which is why I want to get the board out, because the openings, the ports on these three potentiometers here are facing the board, soldered to the board, facing the board, whatever. And I want to be able to move the board enough to get my curved applicator under those ports and really flush those out with a lot of force, really blow a lot of solution up in there and flush them out nice and all that, and really work those controls. So that's the extent of what I'm going to explain as far as servicing controls, because I go over a lot of that information all the time in videos, because again, it's done all the time very routinely. Okay, so these are obviously the two channels, our right and left channel. Our waveforms look really good. The character of the waveforms looks good. The stability of the waveforms looks good. None of that was in question anyways. This was slash is a working unit, and hopefully it will continue to be. So yeah, everything's looking nice. Otherwise, the only other thing I'm going to do real quick is just touch on the controls, which ones are the worst. I'm going to keep this really brief because I don't want to hang on this too long. So you can see noise in the treble control there. Okay, the treble control is the worst of all of them. Okay, there's more staticky, crackly stuff going on there. The bass control initially was a little more staticky, and see, I still get a little pop of crackle every now and then when I run it through its range of travel kind of slow. I'll get a little bit of crackle, but not bad at all. And here's our speaker switch. Not bad either. And here's our tape monitor switch. Little noise in it. It was a little bouncy too, but all in all, here, let me just, yeah, looking good. Loudness switch, okay. Our volume control isn't bad. Initially I had a little bit of static on that, but that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And selector switch, not too bad either. Let me just kind of, yeah, selector switch is doing good. So these controls were not in real bad shape, but to keep them from getting worse, yes, it's a good idea that I'm in here and do a little bit of future proofing as far as really flushing them out, doing that deep multi-flush cleaning, and then going in and applying a little drop once again of a fader type lubricant, an appropriate lubricant for the job, and just a tiny bit to kind of smooth things out after all the cleaning is done. And yeah, we'll be looking good. So there you go. Oh, and another thing too, let me do something. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's make these waveforms stand up tall and bump their heads against the rails into clipping. All right, our clipping looks symmetrical between the positive and negative peaks of our waveforms there. Let me back it off just a hair out of clipping. Let me do that right about there. Looks good. And we're getting 19.5 watts per channel. Not too shabby. You know, this is a 15 watt per channel into 8 ohm amps. So there you go. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to get these controls serviced and we'll conclude with an audio test. Alrighty, y'all. I just wanted to get out all that additional dirt underneath these underneath these boards that I pulled out. Okay, because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I want to get these boards out so I have access to, you know, these controls. You have the selector switch control here. We have all the other controls. You have a couple of push button switches down in here, which had layers of crustiness, dirt, and all that crap sitting on top of them. So I want to get all that vacuumed out because, again, as I said a moment ago, I'm not going to get all these controls squeaky clean and whatnot and stick everything back into a, you know, a filthy piece of equipment. So anyways, so let me go ahead and get to the cleaning of the controls. And off to the races we go. So let me get these sprayed out nicely. All right. And just a lot of rinse and repeat, you know? Okay, so I just want to get these two switches cleaned out before I can get this tone board back in. Of course, there's a mounting plate that extends across as well, a mounting plate / bracket, whatever. Get that reinstalled, get this board mounted on that, and yeah, that's about it. Listen to a little music on this and then get it home to its human. Okay, so I'm wrapped up. I just need to go ahead and get the face plate back on and do a little cosmetic cleanup. And my input jacks and speaker terminals, that's the very last thing I'm going to do before I hook up speakers and all that and do a quick audio test. And we know this is a working unit, and according to the customer, it's working well, sounds good and everything, as I already mentioned, but I'm still going to audio test it nonetheless, just to make sure that everything is okay, everything sounds okay. I want to hear it with my own ears and go from there. Otherwise, yeah, this thing is done. It came out really, really nice. I mean that's clean. That is clean. Those of you who remember what it looked like a little while ago, humongous improvement. One thing that I do want to point out though. Okay, so we're looking at the coupling that interconnects the extension shaft here to the actual shaft of the selector switch. So I want to point out that I discovered a little vertical crack that was starting to run up the length of this coupling. So it hasn't spread all the way up the length of it. It was just kind of starting to. I noticed it when I was putting everything back together and starting to tighten these screws down. I noticed down here a little crack starting to kind of spread open a little bit. So while it was open, I mixed up some epoxy and filled the crack with epoxy and then clamped it down for a while. And then I followed up with adding a bead of that epoxy all the way around, of course under the zip tie, before I even put the zip tie on, around the collar of the coupling all the way around. And then I secured the zip tie nice and tight onto this end of the coupling, as you can see, so that of course the zip tie is now glued to the coupling, so that should add enough strength to get the customer by for a while. If for some reason this coupling ends up getting more brittle and cracking and falling apart and failing and whatever, and the customer can't use his selector switch anymore, then it's just a matter of coming up with a workaround, fabricating another little plastic coupling that'll work in this area here. So no big deal if it does happen, but just a quick ghetto fix, good enough for now. It'll buy the customer some time, but I did want to point it out nonetheless. So anyways, that's it. Okay, so she's all done, looking good. I'm just going to pipe in a music signal into the auxiliary in real quick. I know this is a working unit, but I'm going to check it out and just, play some music. That's about it. So I have some music that I downloaded and burned from YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and start that up. So all things considered, it sounds really good. And when I say all things considered, I have a lot of testing going on in the shop right now. I have my other test system off to the side occupied, you know, my other speakers, all that stuff. So I have just these little, I guess, junk speakers, for lack of a better term, just sitting off to the side here. They're just some old generic kind of, just kind of junk speakers, whatever. So that's about it. My job is done, and for those of you that followed along, appreciate it. Till next time, guys, peace, love, music, and the vintage audio that brings it to your ears. Y'all take care of yourselves.
This has been a Spinning Head production.